Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Eureka Conservative the Eureka Conservative. I was getting this so right the other day. Welcome to the Eureka Conservative Charlie Kirk Bible Read and Bob Rant. I've been away for a while. I had massive issues with IT. Had, as you can probably hear with my nasals, cold all week. Only just getting over it today. Was feeling a bit better yesterday, so I scheduled this in. So I've been off pretty much all week, though I did manage to get my Eureka Conservative podcast in on Tuesday, but that was about it. And it was a pretty good podcast. I ranted quite a bit. Sorry, I got things jumping all over here. But this is a little different because on the this live stream, we do the Bible reads, and I think today is a very appropriate day to do a Bible read, which I'll explain in a minute. First thing I'll do, though, introduce my little co-host, the little pain in the neck. Here he is. He has been a god-awful annoyance. Look at that. Dogs, go on the couch. Go on the couch. The dogs can be an annoyance, and he's been one awful annoyance today, but then he gives you that hug, and my God, it melts you. So, anyway, there's my co-star, the biggest star, I reckon. I reckon more people will log on to see him than me. And obviously what we do every live stream is give you a view of the bay, and glad to say what a beautiful day it is today over the bay. You can see there on the horizon maybe, got a big tanker coming in. Don't think it's full of fuels though, full of goods. Would be nice for it to have some diesel fuel, but that's the bay across Melbourne. Beautiful day, which has been totally different to what we've had in the past week. The past week's been pretty miserable. And I dare say part of my issues with the cold was because on Monday when I was trying to pursue my phones and had to go to these public phone booths, I was running around when it was pouring rain. I got drenched and being stupid and not realising how old I am. I caught this bloody cold and it's been giving me the irrits for 3 days now. So hopefully I'm over the worst of it. I'll be a bit nasally, might have to cough a bit, might have to suck on a few lozenges, but that's the worst of it. Okay. And one thing when you're feeling miserable that really doesn't lift your bloody spirits too much is you wake up this morning and what do we see? So I'm starting a little bit with a rant before I start my Bible reads. We see our clown of a Prime Minister sucking up the arse of all the Islamists in Lakemba. I mean, seriously. I'll get into this in my rant. It wasn't going to be my rant, but now it's going to be my rant. So, the media are useless. Our politicians are useless. They don't want to say the hard truth. And our influencers are useless. They're so indoctrinated with their Jew hatred, they don't see the real enemy. I see it. I'm pretty sure a lot of Australians see it, but our politicians just keep ignoring it. And if they keep ignoring it, which I think they're going to, there's no other choice. It's one nation all the way. They're the only ones speaking out against it. So that does fill me with some concerns, I'll be honest. But we're at a point, we've got to turn this thing around. So I'll go through all that in a minute. But how do we protest? Well, I'll tell you how I'm going to protest. Good news, Bible. Christianity built this nation. Christian principles, Christian faith, Christian dogma built it. So on the day my Prime Minister, and this wasn't intentional, but I've got 7 days of Bible reads to go through. So if you bear with me, on the same day that my Prime Minister kissed the ass of all the imams in a mosque, I'm going to read 7 Bible verses, 7 Christian Bible verses of the one true God, not Muhammad, but Jesus Christ. So that's my way of protesting. And then I'll have my rant, which is my second way of protesting. And in between, excuse me, I haven't finished my coffee because of that crazy dog in the background. So I will be taking sips out of my dirty big mug in between my passages. All right. March 14th, John 16 through 24, sadness and gladness. Let's see if we can find anything appropriate to our current circumstances. Jesus tries to strengthen his disciples for their future trials, but they cannot understand him. In a little while you will not see me anymore, and then a little while later you will see me. Some of his disciples asked amongst themselves, what does this mean? He tells us that in a little while we will not see him, And then a little while later, we will see him. And he also says, it is because I am going to the Father. What does this a little while mean? We don't know what he is talking about. And why would you? Put yourself in their position. He's talking about being resurrected after being crucified, after suffering one of the most horrible deaths. If you didn't, I mean, we're accustomed to it because it's been taught to us for 2,000 years. But before then, you just would have thought he's crazy, man. Jesus knew they wanted to question him, so he said to them, I said, in a little while you will not see me, and then a little while later you will see me. Is this what you are asking about amongst yourselves? I'm telling you the truth. You will cry and weep, but the world will be glad. You will be sad, but your sadness will turn into gladness. When a woman is about to give birth, she is sad because her hour of suffering has come. But when the baby is born, she forgets her suffering because she is happy that a baby has been born into the world. Not entirely true these days. That is how it is with you. Now you are sad, but I will see you again, and in your hearts you will be filled with gladness, the kind of gladness that no one can take away from you. When that day comes, you will not ask me for anything. I'm telling you the truth. The Father will give you whatever you ask for him The Father will give you whatever you ask him for in my name. Until now you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, so that your happiness may be complete. March 15th. How to please God. Hebrews 13, 1 through 9. The writer's advice on daily Christian living is based on two wonderful promises: God's permanent presence and Christ's unchanging nature. Keep on loving one another as Christian brothers. Remember to welcome strangers in your home. There were some who did that and welcomed angels without knowing it. Remember those who are in prison as though you were in prison with them. Remember those who are suffering as though you are suffering as they are. Remember those who are suffering as though you are suffering as they are. Said the same thing twice. Marriage is to be honored by all, and husbands and wives must be faithful to each other. God will judge those who are immoral and who commit adultery. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be satisfied with what you have. For God has said, I will never leave you. I will never abandon you. Let us be bold then and say, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can anyone do to me? Remember your former leaders who spoke God's message to you. Think back on how they lived and died and imitate their faith. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Do not let all kinds of strange teachings lead you from the right way. It is good to receive inner strength from God's grace and not by obeying rules about foods. Those who obey these rules have not been helped by them. Very interesting. Progressives. Here in Australia, you call them the Labor Green lot. In America, you call them Liberals, kind of strange. But in Australia, they're increasingly becoming Liberals as well. So progressives always want to progress meanings. Just think back, Jesus, on what they just said. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's not talking about being progressive. His teachings in these days are exactly what he wants them to be today. So when you hear all this bullshit about transitioning kids and their gender and, having, what do they call them? Those men in dresses, speak to kindergarten kids and all that sort of shit. All the weird LGBT stuff. And I'm not talking about the normal LGBT stuff. I'm talking about the weird parts of it. There are normal gay people in the LGBT community that I can accept as much as I can accept a heterosexual person. They're loving people. They're committed to their partners, all that sort of thing. But then there's the weird part. The ones who want to change kids' sex. The ones who want men playing in women's sports. The one who wants cross dresses, reading fairy tales and stories to our youngest. They're the weird bastards. Anyway, be very careful. The Christian preachers, who embrace abortion. That's not progressive. That's not what Jesus taught. It's not what he's asking for today. Anyway, God, I'm getting all evangelistic. See what Elbow's done to me? Jesus calls Philip and Nathaniel, John 1:43 through 49. It was through Jesus' first followers that more people were called to join the group of disciples. The next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him, "Come with me." Philip was from Bethsaida, the town where Andrew and Peter lived. Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one whom Moses wrote about in the book of the law and whom the prophets also wrote about. He is Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth." "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" Nathanael asked. "Come and see," answered Philip. When Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him, he said about him, "Here is a real Israelite. There is nothing false in him." Nathanael asked him, "How do you know me?" Jesus answered, "I saw you when you were under the fig tree before Philip called you." "Teacher," asked Nathanael, "you are the Son of God? You are the King of Israel." Must have been amazing in those times, You're actually walking with the Son of God. Think about it, talking, eating meals with him. Crazy times. Crazier than now even. Jesus calls the first disciples, Luke 5:1 through 11. These three tough, hard-working fishermen became the disciples closest to Jesus. They watched Jesus, they learned from him, and they used their energies. One day, Jesus was standing on the shore of Lake, I can't even pronounce this, on the shore of Lake Gennesaret, while the people pushed their way up to him to listen to the word of God. He saw two boats pulled up on the beach. The fishermen had left them and were washing the nets. Jesus got into one of the boats. It belonged to Simon and asked him to push off a little from the shore. Jesus sat in the boat and taught the crowd. When he finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Push the boat out further to the deep water, and you and your partners let down your nets for a catch." "Master," Simon answered, "we worked hard all night long and caught nothing. But if you say so, I will let down the nets." They let them down and caught such a large number of fish, the nets were about to break. So they motioned to their partners in the other boat to come and help them. They came and filled both boats so full of fish the boats were about to sink. When Simon Peter saw what had happened, he fell on his knees before Jesus and said, "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." He and the others with him were all amazed at the large number of fish they had caught. The same was true of Simon's partners, James and John, the sons of Zebedee. Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on you'll be catching men." They pulled the boats up on the beach, left everything, and followed Jesus. God, we could do with that now. Come in. Jesus' compassion, Matthew 9:35. Matthew 9:35 through to 10.4. Here we see Jesus deeply moved because people here were without God's teachings. He looked to God and to his followers to help solve the problem. Jesus went around visiting all the towns and villages. He taught in the synagogues, preached the good news about the kingdom, and healed people with every kind of disease and sickness. So a lot of people don't want to say Jesus lived a life as a Jew, but he taught in synagogues. Sort of bit of a contradiction there. As he saw the crowds, his heart was filled with pity for them because they were worried and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. So he said to his disciples, "The harvest is large, but there are few workers to gather it in. Pray to the owner of the harvest that he will send out workers to gather in this harvest." Jesus called his 12 disciples together and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and heal every disease and every sickness. These are the name of the 12 apostles. First, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew, James and his brother John, the sons of Zebedee, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the patriot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus. What if they knew how much they were going to change the world at that point? Anyway. March 19th, 2 to go. The sower, Mark 4:39, 13 through 20. The parable of the sower shows a variety of responses to God's message. Only those who accept it know its power. Listen, once there was a man who went out to sow corn. As he scattered the seed in the field, some of it fell along the path and the birds came and ate it up. Some of it fell on rocky ground where there was little soil. The seed soon sprouted because the soil wasn't deep. Then when the sun came up, it burnt the young plants, and because the roots had not grown deep enough, the plants soon dried up. Some of the seed fell among thorn bushes, which grew up and choked the plants, and they didn't produce any corn. But some seeds fell in good soil, and the plants sprouted, grew, and produced corn. Some had 30 grains, others 60, and others 100. And Jesus concluded, "Listen then, if you have ears." Then Jesus asked them, "Don't you understand this parable? How then will you ever understand any parable? The sower sows God's message. Some people are like the seeds that fall along the path. As soon as they hear the message, Satan comes and takes it away. Other people are like the seeds that fall on rocky ground. As soon as they hear the message, they receive it gladly, but it does not sink deep into them and they don't last long. So when trouble or persecution comes because of the message, they give up at once. Other people are like the seed sown among the thorn bushes. These are the ones who hear the message, but the worries about this life and the love for riches and all other kinds of desires crowds in and chokes the message, and they don't bear fruit. But other people are like the seed sown in good soil. They hear the message, accept it, and bear fruit, some 30, some 60, and some 100. There you go. We need more people who are the seeds in good soil. That's what we need. Anyway, last one. Philip and the Ethiopian official, Acts 8:26 through 31. The reading shows how sensitive Philip was to God's guidance. He knew he had to leave town where he was the evangelist for the lonely desert. An angel of the Lord said to Philip, "Get ready and go south to the road that goes from Jerusalem to Gaza." The road is not used nowadays, so Philip got ready and went. Now an Ethiopian eunuch, who was an important official in charge of the treasury of the Queen of Ethiopia, was on his way home. He had been to Jerusalem to worship God and was going back home in his carriage. As he rode along, he was reading from the book of the prophet Isaiah. The Holy Spirit said to Philip, "Go over to that carriage and stay close to it." Philip ran over and heard him reading from the book of the prophet Isaiah. He asked him, "Do you understand what you are reading?" The official replied, How can I understand unless someone explains it to me?" And he invited Philip to climb in and sit in the carriage with him. And tomorrow, I might even do this now, so bear with me because it goes on. And tomorrow's Saturday, I never get to read it. So I'm going to read this one now because it carries on from the last one. Philip explains. From what the prophet Isaiah wrote, Philip explains about Jesus to the Ethiopian official. The official believes and is baptized. Acts 8:32 through 40. The passage of scripture which he was reading was this: "Like a sheep that is taken to be slaughtered, like a lamb that makes no sound when its wool is cut off, he did not say a word. He was humiliated and justice was denied him. No one will be able to tell him about his descendants because his life on earth had come to an end." The official asked Philip, "Tell me, of whom is this prophet saying this? Of himself or someone else?" Then Philip began to speak, starting from this passage of scripture. He told him the good news about Jesus. As they traveled down the road, they came to a place where there was some water, and the official said, "Here is some water. What is to keep me from being baptized?" Philip said to him, "You may be baptized if you believe with all your heart." "I do," he answered. "I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God." The official ordered the carriage to stop, and both Philip and the official went down to the water, and Philip baptized him. When they came up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord took Philip away. The official did not see him again, but continued on his way full of joy. Philip found himself in Azotus. He went on to Caesarea, and on the way he preached the good news in every town. You never underestimate who you can reach sometimes, even when you don't think you can reach them. So there we go, all caught up. So I hope you bared with that. I've got to take my hoodie off. It's actually warm up in here. Even with a bit of a cold, I'm starting to sweat. Sorry, excuse me for a minute. And my dog's on the floor. He's in that annoying mood. Doesn't want to sit on his couch today. Oh, there he goes. So there you go. That's my act of defiance against Elbow. and he's kowtowing to the Imams and the Muslims in Lakemba. And I don't have any problem. Look, go and meet with the Islamic community. Got no issue with that. But go to a function. Go to a community event. When do you see Albo go and sit in front of Christian parishioners in a church, in a cathedral? From time to time he attends. He's not a Catholic. He says he's a Catholic. He's baptized a Catholic. Does he, people say they're Catholic and Christians and then they don't follow through. All right? I'll give you an example. I read the daily passage out of that and I try to have what impact I can as a Christian. It's my way of honouring Charlie Kirk. It's my way of honouring Christ himself. Should have done it years ago. We all should be doing it. Even if you aren't a Christian, even if you're not sure about it, you should be talking about it. You should be reading passages. You should be exploring it. Because if we don't get back to our Christian fundamentals, if we don't get back to our Christian values, we are in a lot of trouble as a society. And I'm not even just talking about Australia. There is a growing element within our society that wants to fill everybody's heads with Jew hatred. And people are going to come at me saying I'm a Zionist and I'm pro-Jew and pro-Israel. And on many aspects, yes, I am. On other aspects, no, I'm not. But I said this in my conservative podcast on Tuesday. If you're giving me the choice of being on the Jewish side or with Albo on the Islamic radical side of Islam, I'm taking the Jewish side every day of the week, twice on Sundays, no hesitation. They've lived peacefully with us since the first fleet arrived. Some of our greatest citizens have been Jewish. Some of our greatest politicians, some of our greatest war generals, some of our greatest inventors, scholars, surgeons, whatever you want to call it. They've lived in Australia peacefully. They've contributed. And yeah, I know you're all going to give me all the Rothschilds and all that and how they sit on boards. Well, worst case scenario, what are you jealous about? They actually are successful. They sit on boards that have power and influence. Is that envy? Everyone's to be envy. Would you have the same issues, and there are plenty of them, with Christians who sit on boards of powerful companies who influence policy? If you're going to be critical, be fair. If you're going to be hate Jews, explain the reasons why. Own up to it. Don't hide behind this Groyper stance. Don't hide behind this National Socialist stance. Say what you are. Own up to it. Say you're a neo-Nazi. In Albo's situation, say you're a Marxist. Say you're a Fabian. Say you want to change this country for the worse. Say you're not a fan of Western civilization or capitalism. Say you're even not a fan of democracy. He's trying to bring in 40 new seats in our parliament. Why do we need 40 more idiot politicians for? How's that going to make us more productive? How's that going to resolve things? It's just going to muddy the waters even further. But, as a politician, you should go out and meet your citizens, whatever faith they are. But you shouldn't kowtow to them. You shouldn't go to their mosque. And even as a Christian, you shouldn't come to our cathedrals. I don't like it when a politician comes to a Christian event and to use it. And I agree with, I'm going to show you a tape here in a minute. In fact, I'll show it to you now. I agree with what a lot of Muslims were saying in this video. And before, you might, I'm going to go through this just a little bit. Bear with me. I think it's really worth showing this. And here it is here. I'll get it. Let's listen to the whole thing.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! You want to kill our brothers and sisters doing the fuck? Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Bro, that's Earths. We never get quiet. Why are you protecting him? Get your dog. Stay out of here, man. Stay out of here.
And the dramatic rise in Islamophobic attacks. In essence, we have been unable to better lobby and advocate to government in regards to policy and legislation that directly impacts our
Why is
community.
he in here? Get him out of here.
We as Australian Muslims,
Get him out of here. He's right.
this is a fault.
You gotta respect us. You gotta get him out of here. You gotta respect his hand. Don't disrespect him. Sit down and Australian apologise. It's his government. But we won't spend its time. Don't bring him here. It's not the time. It's not the time. It's his government. It's his government that pulled them when they were praying. We don't want politicians, brother. Let's hate. We're praying. Why do we got politicians?
Leave politics outside.
And on that part, I don't necessarily disagree with them. Leave politics outside. We're praying. We don't want politicians here. I'm in agreement with that. As a Christian, I wouldn't want a politician coming to my parish lecturing me about his politics. There's plenty of space for them to do that. So this was just a stunt. It was a stunt by Albo and Burke. On Sky News today, they were going on, oh, well, it was mostly welcoming. Did that look welcoming to you? So you can't believe anything the media say. You can't believe anything the politicians say. Albo's trying to say that this was a welcoming event, only a couple of hecklers. Did that sound like a couple of hecklers? Or did it sound like all the Muslims that were attending the synagogue today, the mosque today, well, they'd be pissed off. I don't blame them. But the biggest issue here, the elephant in the room, is not being talked about. It's not being talked about by media. And I'll give you another example. Here's the opposition. And this is, for me, the concerning thing. And what's concerning me even further is I'm not too sure how many Australians really understand this. So I've got to give me a tick, guys. So Tim Wilson, who I think is an absolute dick. So this is the liberal side of things. Sorry. Getting more of it. And notice Burke just casually was walking in with them. Not a problem in the world. Oh, God. Not a problem in the world, that prick. Where am I? More bookmarks. There we go. Oh, my God, I'm having a bad week. This is the response from Tim Wilson. Right there. Few Australians would feel comfortable about the way the Prime Minister and Minister Burke were disrespected during a visit to a Sydney mosque earlier today. One of our goals as a democratic project must be to engage with respect even when we disagree. We need more dialogue and less shouting and shutting down debate. That includes listening, engaging respectfully, because that is what we should expect of Australians. Notwithstanding our different political views, I believe the office of the Prime Minister deserves respect today, and the absence of it is an issue for all of us. Seriously? Tim Wilson, you're an absolute moron. And Angus Taylor, why you've got him on your front bench is beyond me. So that's Tim Wilson's take on it. You wonder why Pauline Hanson's rising in the polls. Australia is abandoning, it nearly has abandoned, but Australia is abandoning its Christian heritage, its Christian Western civilization heritage, its foundations. A lot of these bastards like to call us colonialists, that we colonized this country. No, we won't. We're bloody nation builders. We built this nation. We're not colonialists. We're builders. Our forefathers built this nation, and they didn't build it on these values. They built it on Christian values. I have got no problem with other people coming into this country, but they have to adopt our way of life. That's not happening. Hasn't been happening for decades. Our politicians are too busy not to, except for Hanson, not to offend any of these groups that come in, that they will go to their synagogue and kiss their ass like Albo and Burke did today. They sat there while the person with the mic was criticising them. They sat there with their shoes off, looking like clowns at Luna Park, their head going side to side, looking like the absolute morons they are. They are happy for those images to be beamed across Australia, where people like me, and I think there's millions of us, who feel insulted by that. Why does our Prime Minister need to go to a mosque and behave in that manner? Why does he need to go to a synagogue and behave in that manner? You can make statements to support the Islamic community, the Jewish community, the Christian community. You don't need to go to a synagogue, a mosque, or a church to do so. He is trying to carry favour with the Islamic community so they will keep voting in his ALP members. What he is not seeing, what I am seeing, is these people don't support him. Just listen to them. They don't agree with him. It is only a matter of time before we get an Islamic party forming in this country for Islamic people to vote for them, and we will have Islamic politicians in our parliament. We're not that far away now. When that starts to happen, when we start to get like in England, like in New York, like in London, like in Western Europe, when we start getting Islamic mayors, ministers, prime ministers, who's to say we're not that far away from that, then you know the mission to take over this country is complete. We'll be in all sorts of strife then. So either people start speaking up now, or they sit back and, pardon the French here, they cop it up the arse. Because that's what's been going on. Tim Wilson, classic. He's more worried about the Prime Minister who put himself in that position being disrespected. Good on them for disrespecting the bastard. It's a bit of a pity, actually, Catholic bishops, Catholic archbishops, Anglican bishops, Anglican leaders, Christian leaders. It's a bit of a pity they don't have a crack at him like those people did. It's a bit of a pity that Christian parishioners are too polite to let Elbow know how they feel for selling out this country. Is it either polite or stupid? It's one of the two. That bastard would sell his grandmother's soul if it benefited him politically. Tony Burke would sell his grandmother's soul, his mother's soul, his parents' soul, his generation's soul, his whole country. He would sell out the Anzacs who fought for this country. Those two bastards are two of the biggest treasonous bastards, and we voted them in. And bizarrely, we'll vote them again then. So many people are latched to their benefits, their union buddies, that they will vote these bastards in all the time, even if it means destroying what we enjoy as a country. And they don't want to see it. Their political dogma doesn't want them to see it. For those who followed me, you know, I'm just as critical of those on the centre right as what I am on the left. Look at Tim Wilson. Look at Susan Lane. Look at Malcolm Turnbull, supposedly centre right. And we've still got these moderate bastards sitting within the Liberal Party, and they're wondering why they're losing votes to One Nation. God, I hope One Nation wipes the floor with the Liberals in South Australia this coming election. And sadly, that will mean the ALP will continue on. But it might shake up the ALP so badly they come back towards the centre. And let's hope the same thing happens in Victoria, because Jess Wilson, she doesn't think she needs One Nation. When she says that, she's saying she doesn't need you or me. So I have concerns a bit with One Nation. I want to get them on the speak. I don't know. We're all voting blind with One Nation. And the one part with the media they do get right, is this a protest vote? Yeah, probably. Because we've lost so much faith and hope in the current politicians. They don't represent what we're talking about. Here we have an ALP politician goes to a synagogue and gets harassed and whatever, and everyone's making out he's kissing the ass of the Islamic community. And then we have a Liberal politician come in, oh, he shouldn't be disrespected. We've all got to get along. The problem with that, Tim, that we've all got to get along, they don't want to get along. I mean, how dumb are you? They do not want to accept our culture. I mean, they say it. Good on them. At least they're honest, unlike you bastards. They actually say it. They want a caliphate in this country. They want Sharia law in this country. They want us to align with Islamic states. They want radical Islam as a mode of choice of politics in this country. And they want everybody else, the non-believers, to tolerate it, or even to accept it, or even to convert to it. Well, I know which king I believe in, and his name's Jesus Christ. I've more faith in him than I have in any politician, even any Islamic preacher, even any Jewish preacher. That's my choice, though. I live by that. I don't expect you to accept that. I don't expect any Muslim to accept that. But I do accept them to just get on with life, obey our laws, and observe our heritage and our culture. That is not too much to ask, but they don't want to do that. Tim Wilson, in his stupid little brain, thinks he can convince them to do that. Albo and Burke, I don't even know what they're thinking. But if they think they can convert these people to an Australian way of life, they got rocks in their head. They're nuts. They're not intent on that. By the way, where'd they get all those millions to build these expansive mosques? Anyone ever asked that question? I mean, it's not like the Lakemba Mosque is the only one. They're everywhere. They're magnificent, magnificent buildings. How much would they have cost? How much of that was built with taxpayers' money? Questions we should be asking. Questions we should be getting answers to. But if you ask that, you're Islamophobic. Well, no, you can't be Islamophobic if you ask that, because that means you're not scared of the repercussions of asking it. So there's no fear involved. That's how stupid this is. You say anything critical of Islam, which takes a bit of courage to do, because some people have copped some real repercussions for doing that. So to do it, you've got to actually overcome fear to do it. If you were fearful of doing it, you wouldn't say a word. You'd kowtow to them like Albo and Burke's done. And yet the majority of Australians, which are still either Christian, non-Christian, non-Muslim, whatever, we're just blindly going to our football matches, our cricket matches, our concerts, doing all those sort of things, and we're not seeing the enemy within, the fifth column. The enemy within, you're seeing it there in all its glory. They're not interested in our values. They will take the paycheck, they will take the jobs, they will take the houses, they will do all this, but they'll live in their own demographics. They will preach their own politics. They will preach their own religion. They will preach their own ideology, and they will want it to make it the most dominant ideology in this country. And I'm not the one saying that. There's countless numbers of videos of imams in this country saying exactly that shit. So we've got a prime minister who thinks, let's kowtow to it. Let's kiss their ass. Let's kiss their feet. What an absolute gutless, bloody coward that prick of a prime minister is. What a treacherous bunch we have in government. And sadly, they'll probably stay in government for another 1 or 2 terms. So hopefully people wake up. Hopefully, One Nation could put in the worst people as candidates. We might have a bit of a joke for a cabinet. But you know what? One Nation is not going to kowtow to immigration. They're not going to kowtow to this Islamic bullshit. They will welcome people, whether they're Muslim, Christian, or Jewish, into this country as long as they accept our values, our way of life. And that's what every single bloody politician should have as a minimum standard. Instead, they want to kiss the ass of the radical Islamists. They believe the bastards. I don't. Call me an Islamophobic, call me a bigot, call me a racist, call me whatever you want to call me. I don't really care. I'm just calling it as I see it. I'm a Christian, will always be a Christian. I will always read my passages of the Bible, and I will always have Christ as my king. So, well, as long as I've got him, Albo doesn't really bother me too much. But it should bother all of us where he is taking this once great country. Anyway, that's enough of a rant. There's my opposition to that filth of a bastard we have as a prime minister. Bloody treasonous sellout. And Burke sitting there smirking alongside him. I'm 62 years of age. I've never seen two more. I'm trying to figure out the words here. I'm going to say abysmal politicians, but there's worse. Pathetic, abysmal, just horrible people. And we've got a number of them now in our parliament on both sides. So if you're not going to vote for One Nation and you are a legitimate Australian, and I'm not talking about groupers. So within 1 week, I've had to go at all the groupers. Now I've had to go at Radical Islam. Now I'm having to go at ALP. Now I'm having to go at a liberal person. You know, I just want Aussies with Aussie values that I grew up with that made this such a great country. And the only political party I can see that will deliver it is One Nation. If you're like me and you're not voting for One Nation, I only have one question. Why the bloody hell not? Get out there and own it. Have the courage to say it. Have the courage to own it. Have the courage. I'll consider it. I've swore I was never going to join a political party. When they get back to me and they explain their positions, I'll consider it. Because we got to get – this is a battle for – there's a great quote going around. Vote One Nation to save our nation. I tell you what, I think that's the position we're in. Anyway, that's it from me. That was a pretty good Friday, Reno. Even with the cold. Bye from me. Bye from JJ. He's so pissed off with me because I've had a cold. I haven't been able to take him out for his WALKs and all that. He's giving me the evil look, and I got to go to work tonight for 6 hours. It'll be even more evil look then. So from me, JJ, God bless you. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your mates. God bless this country. God bless Pauline Hanson and One Nation. And let's get our country back. Let's get it away from the bullshit we've seen this morning from our Prime Minister and dickhead Burke. All right. So, everyone.